Captain Lee Hyun gripped the metal railing of the bridge as warning lights bathed everything in red. The massive view screen flickered with static before displaying the terrifying image of a Zephyrian war fleet. These weren't the friendly aliens from old Earth movies. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals made of dark silicon, their bodies crackling with electrical energy that made them seem almost robotic. Human vermin. The lead Zephyrian's voice cut through the speakers like grinding metal. Your species spreads poison wherever you go. Every breath you take releases the deadly gas called oxygen. We have watched your colonies grow like a disease across our galaxy. Lee Hyun felt his heart racing. 3 years of peaceful first contact had just ended in the worst possible way. Behind him, his crew of 25 humans worked frantically at their stations. Lieutenant Park Jin was trying to raise the Earth Defense Council, while Communications Officer Kim So desperately attempted to contact other human colonies scattered across this sector of space. Dr. Park Mina stepped forward. From her science station, her dark eyes filled with disbelief. She had studied alien biology for 15 years and knew more about galactic species than almost any human alive. Captain, this makes no sense. They think oxygen is poisonous to us. Don't they understand that we breathe it to live? The Zephyrian commander continued his mechanical speech. You have 48 Earth hours to evacuate all human settlements in this galaxy sector. Any humans remaining after this deadline will face our ultimate weapon. We have developed oxygen bombs specifically designed to flood your colonies with concentrated doses of your own toxic atmosphere. These bombs will create catastrophic chain reactions that will destroy every living thing you call precious. Engineer Choi Dae looked up from his control panel with confusion written across his face. Sir, their intelligence is completely wrong. Oxygen doesn't hurt us. We need it to survive. Are they really this ignorant about human biology? Lee Hyun activated the communication channel. Zephyrian Fleet, this is Captain Lee Hyun of the Earth Defense Station. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Oxygen isn't deadly to humans, we breathe it naturally. Your weapon won't harm us the way you think it will. The aliens' crystalline forms seem to pulse with angry energy. Lies and deception. We have studied your species. We know that oxygen creates explosive reactions. We have seen your ships use oxygen-based fuel systems. This proves oxygen is dangerous and volatile. You cannot trick us with false information. Dr. Park Mina shook her head in frustration. They're confusing pure oxygen under pressure with the oxygen we breathe. It's like thinking water is deadly because it can drown someone. They don't understand the difference between breathing oxygen and using it as rocket fuel. The massive Zephyrian mothership began moving closer to the human station. It was nearly 3 kilometers long and shaped like a giant crystal spear. Smaller attack vessels swarmed around it like angry insects. Each ship pulsed with that same electrical energy that made the aliens look so threatening. Your time begins now, the Zephyrian commander announced. 48 hours until we deploy our oxygen bombs. We suggest you use this time to flee rather than fight. Our weapons will turn your own atmosphere against you. Your colonies will burn in the very air you claim to need. The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Lee Hyun looked around at his crew. These were good people who had volunteered to protect human colonies at the edge of known space. Navigator Lee So was barely 25 years old. Weapons Officer Nam Jun had a wife and 2 children back on Earth Colony 7. Dr. Park Mina had dedicated her entire career to peaceful contact with alien species. Captain, reported Tactical Officer Yoon Hai, long-range sensors are detecting Zephyrian fleets moving toward Colony Prime, New Sol Station, and the mining outpost at Asteroid Belt 7. They're not bluffing about attacking multiple targets. Admiral Kim Tae's voice crackled through the communication system from Colony Prime. Lee Hyun, we're seeing massive Zephyrian ships approaching our position. The colonists are asking if they should evacuate. What are your orders? Lee Hyun felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. Over 2 million humans lived in the colonies that were now under threat. These weren't soldiers, but families. Scientists, miners, farmers, and engineers who had come to the frontier to build new lives among the stars. Admiral Kim Tae, tell the colonists to prepare for possible attack, but don't evacuate yet. Something about this doesn't add up. If the Zephyrians really understood human biology, they would know that oxygen bombs wouldn't work the way they think. 18 hours later, the first attack began. Massive Zephyrian bombers approached Colony Prime like dark meteors falling from space. Each bomber was the size of a city building and carried enough concentrated oxygen to flood an entire settlement. The human defenders could only watch as the aliens prepared to unleash what they believed would be a weapon of total destruction. The bombs fell like silver rain, cracking open on impact and releasing massive clouds of pure, concentrated oxygen into the colony's atmosphere. The Zephyrians waited for explosions, for screams, for the destruction of another human settlement. Instead, something completely unexpected began to happen. Commander Choi Day stared at his monitoring screens in complete disbelief. The oxygen levels in Colony Prime had jumped from the normal 21% to nearly 40%. His instruments were going crazy with readings he had never seen before. According to every military manual he had studied, this should have been a disaster zone filled with fires and explosions. Instead, his communication panel was lighting up with the strangest reports he had ever received. "Commander, this is Settlement Block 7, came the excited voice of Civilian Coordinator Park Bo. "We're all still alive down here, but something weird is happening. People are saying they feel incredible, like they just drank the best energy. Drink in the galaxy." 3 kilometers away in the Zephyrian command ship, General Vexitar watched his tactical displays with growing confusion. His crystalline form crackled with nervous electrical energy as he waited for confirmation of human casualties. The oxygen bombs had deployed perfectly, flooding the human colony with concentrated doses of what his species considered the most deadly gas in the universe. "Status report," he demanded from his intelligence officer. "Sir, our sensors detect no explosions, no fires, no signs of destruction. The humans appear to be moving around normally." Dr. Yoon-hai had volunteered to lead the first research team into the affected areas. She was a xenobiologist who had spent years studying how different species adapted to various atmospheric conditions. As she stepped off the transport shuttle and into the super-oxygenated zone, she immediately felt something extraordinary happening to her body. Her first breath was like drinking liquid energy. Every cell in her body seemed to wake up and start working at maximum efficiency. Her vision became sharper, colors appeared more vivid, and her mind felt like someone had just upgraded her brain's processing power. "Incredible," she whispered, into her communication device. "I can literally feel my body becoming stronger with every breath. My heart is pumping more efficiently, my muscles feel more powerful, and my thoughts are clearer than they've ever been." She looked around at her research team. Engineer Kim Yu was staring at his hands in amazement. "Doctor, I can see the individual. Fibers in my gloves. My eyesight has never been this good." Biologist Li Min was taking readings with her scanner when she suddenly gasped. "The plant life around us is going crazy. Look at those trees that were barely surviving yesterday. They're growing so fast I can actually see them getting taller." Back at the command center, reports started flooding in from every section of the colony. Factory worker Oh Soo reported that he had accidentally lifted a piece of machinery that normally required a small crane. "I thought it was broken or something, but then I realized I had just gotten super strong somehow." Medical officer. Park Hai was treating a patient who had suffered a broken arm the day before the attack. "Commander, this is impossible, but the bone fracture is healing at an incredible rate. What would normally take 6 weeks to heal is happening in hours." The colony's agricultural dome was experiencing what could only be described as a miracle. Farmer Seo Jun stood among crops that had grown 3 feet taller overnight. "The vegetables are huge and perfectly ripe. The wheat is growing so fast I can hear it rustling as it gets taller. We're going to have enough food to feed 10 colonies." Lieutenant Namjoon was assigned to test the physical capabilities of personnel in the oxygen-rich environment. He approached a supply crate that usually required 3 people to move. The crate contained spare parts for spacecraft engines and weighed nearly 800 pounds. He grabbed the handles, expecting to struggle, but instead lifted it over, his head like it was filled with feathers. "This is unbelievable," he reported to his commanding officer. "I feel like I could run a marathon and then lift a shuttle engine." The Zephyrian spy network was in complete chaos. Agent Kexnor, who had been monitoring human communications through stolen technology, sent an urgent message to the fleet command. "General, the humans are not dying. They appear to be getting stronger and healthier. Their agricultural systems are producing massive amounts of food, and their physical capabilities have increased dramatically." General Vextar's crystalline body flickered with angry red energy. "Impossible. Our scientists confirmed that oxygen is deadly to carbon-based life forms. Increase the concentration. Deploy more bombs." Dr. Yoon Hai had set up a temporary research station in the heart of the affected zone. Her team was documenting changes that seemed to defy everything they knew about human biology. Test subject volunteer Choi was able to solve complex mathematical problems that had previously taken him hours to complete. "Doctor, it's like my brain has been supercharged. I can see patterns and connections I never noticed before. I feel like I could learn a new language in a few days." The oxygen-enhanced zone had become a paradise of human potential. Athletes were running faster than Olympic records, artists were creating masterpieces in minutes, and engineers were solving technical problems that had puzzled them for months. Meanwhile, in space, more Zephyrian bombers approached the colony. Their pilots were confused by orders to deploy even more oxygen bombs on a target that showed no signs of damage. To the silicon-based aliens, it was like being ordered to drop more deadly poison on enemies who seemed to be enjoying it. The second wave of oxygen bombs fell like silver rain across the human settlements, and once again, instead of destruction, the bombs brought transformation and enhancement to every human they touched. General Seo Min stood in the command center of Earth's newest military installation, watching holographic displays that showed the incredible transformation happening across human space. What had started as an alien attack had become humanity's greatest evolutionary leap forward. Her enhanced mind, now running on oxygen-rich blood, processed tactical information faster than any computer system they had ever built. "Admiral, we're receiving reports from every human colony," announced Communications Officer Park Tae, his voice filled with excitement. "The oxygen enhancement is spreading to settlements that weren't even attacked. Somehow, humans who visit the enhanced zones are carrying the benefits back to their home colonies." The general nodded, her enhanced cognitive abilities already 3 steps ahead. "Set up training facilities immediately. If we're going to fight the Zephyrians, we need to maximize every advantage this oxygen boost has given us." Within 72 hours, oxygen-enhanced training centers were operational on 15 different worlds. These weren't ordinary military facilities. They were designed to push human potential to its absolute limits. The training grounds featured obstacle courses that would have been impossible for normal humans to complete, combat simulators running at triple speed, and physical challenges that seemed more like science fiction than military preparation. Pilot Bei Wu stepped into the advanced flight simulator at Training Center Alpha. He had been one of humanity's best pilots before the oxygen enhancement, but now he was something completely beyond normal human capability. The simulator loaded a combat scenario featuring 50 Zephyrian fighters attacking a human convoy. As the virtual battle began, Bei Wu's enhanced nervous system processed incoming information at incredible speeds. His eyes tracked multiple targets simultaneously while his hands moved across the controls faster than the simulator's cameras could record. To observers watching through the viewing window, his movements appeared almost supernatural. "Control, I'm seeing attack patterns form before the enemy ships even begin their maneuvers," he reported calmly, while destroying his 20th virtual opponent. "My enhanced brain is predicting their tactics based on micro-movements and formation. Positioning. It's like watching a slow-motion movie where I know exactly what happens next." Training Supervisor Kim Do watched in amazement as Bei Wu completed the simulation in record time, destroying all 50 enemy fighters without taking a single hit. "Pilot, that scenario was designed to be impossible. The computer calculated that no human could survive longer than 3 minutes. That was before the oxygen enhancement," Bei Wu replied with a grin. "I finished it in 90 seconds. Meanwhile, in a secret facility deep within Zephyrian space, an unusual meeting was taking place. Koran, a Zephyrian defector who had been living among humans for 2 years, sat across from General Seo Min via encrypted holographic communication. Ko-Ran's crystalline body was much smaller than typical Zephyrians, and he breathed through specialized filters that allowed him to survive in oxygen-rich environments. "General, my former people are in complete chaos," Ko-Ran reported, his mechanical voice carrying undertones of what almost sounded like amusement. "Their entire war strategy was based on the belief that oxygen would destroy you. Their military commanders are holding emergency meetings every day, trying to understand how their ultimate weapon became your greatest advantage." General Seo Min leaned forward, her enhanced mind already formulating battle plans. "What's their current status? Are they preparing new attacks?" "They are terrified," Ko-Ran continued. "Fleet Commander Zexvar has been demoted for the failed oxygen bombing campaign. Their scientists are working frantically to develop new weapons, but they're struggling because they never understood human biology in the first place. Some of their younger officers are questioning whether they should continue the war at all." In the engineering bays of the human fleet, Chief Engineer Lim So was putting the finishing touches on humanity's newest weapon system. Her oxygen-enhanced mind had solved engineering problems in days that would have taken years under normal circumstances. The solution was both elegant and terrifying in its simplicity. "If the Zephyrians want to use oxygen as a weapon," she explained, to her engineering team, "then let's show them how it's really done." Her new design was called the Oxygen Lance. Instead of bombs that slowly released oxygen into an atmosphere, these were concentrated beam weapons that could deliver highly pressurized oxygen directly at enemy ships. For humans, concentrated oxygen was life-giving energy. For silicon-based Zephyrians, it was like being hit with streams of acid. Test pilot Nambo flew the first ship equipped with the new weapon system. His target was a captured Zephyrian fighter, unmanned and controlled remotely. As he approached the enemy vessel, his enhanced reflexes allowed him to aim with precision that would have been impossible before the oxygen enhancement. Firing oxygen. "Lance," he announced calmly. A brilliant blue beam shot from his ship and struck the Zephyrian fighter. The enemy vessel's crystalline hull began to crack and dissolve as the concentrated oxygen ate away at the silicon-based materials. Within seconds, the fighter broke apart like glass hit by a hammer. "Target destroyed," Nambo reported. "The oxygen beam completely dissolved their hull armor. Their ships have no defense against their own weapon being used properly." Across human space, similar innovations were occurring at an unprecedented pace. Dr. Park Hai had developed oxygen-enhanced medical treatments that could heal battle wounds in minutes. Scientist Yoon Dae had created new communication systems that allowed oxygen-enhanced humans to process information at speeds that made real-time tactical coordination possible across entire star systems. The Zephyrian Empire had made a critical mistake. They had assumed that humans were weak because they relied on oxygen to survive. They never considered that oxygen wasn't humanity's weakness, but rather their greatest source of strength. Now, as reports reached Zephyrian Command about humans, who could fly ships like supernatural beings, who could heal from injuries in hours instead of months, and who had turned oxygen into a weapon more deadly than anything in the alien arsenal, the silicon-based empire was beginning to realize that they had awakened something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The war was about to take a very different turn, and for the first time since the conflict began, it was the Zephyrians who were afraid. Captain Oh-Jin gripped the command chair of the HSS Thunderbolt as his ship led a fleet of 20 human vessels toward the Zephyrian stronghold at Kepler Station. His oxygen-enhanced brain processed tactical data from multiple sources simultaneously, while his crew worked with superhuman efficiency around him. The bridge hummed with activity as enhanced humans operated at speeds that would have seemed impossible. "Just weeks ago, Captain, enemy fleet detected," announced Tactical Officer Lee Hai, her enhanced eyes tracking multiple targets on the holographic display. 12 Zephyrian cruisers and their flagship carrier. They're maintaining defensive formation around the station. Oh-Jin's enhanced reflexes allowed him to absorb the tactical situation instantly. Weapons Officer Kim Ju, prepare the oxygen torpedoes. Navigator Park 1, plot attack vectors that maximize our firing solutions while minimizing their ability to retreat. The oxygen torpedoes were humanity's newest and most devastating weapon. Unlike the slow-release oxygen bombs the Zephyrians had used against human colonies, these were concentrated bursts of highly pressurized oxygen delivered at near light speed. When they struck Zephyrian ships, the results were catastrophic for the silicon-based aliens. "Torpedoes loaded and ready, Captain," reported Weapons Officer Kim Ju. "Each torpedo contains enough concentrated oxygen to dissolve a cruiser's hull in seconds." As the human fleet approached, the Zephyrian commander, Admiral Keksanov, watched nervously from his flagship. His crystalline form flickered with confused electrical patterns as he tried to understand how the humans had turned his empire's ultimate weapon against them. "Deploy countermeasures," he ordered his crew. "Release the anti-oxygen shields." But the Zephyrian shields, designed to protect against oxygen contamination, were useless against the concentrated oxygen weapons. The torpedoes cut through their defenses like hot knives through ice. "Fire all torpedoes," Captain O'Jin commanded. 20 human ships unleashed their deadly cargo simultaneously. Brilliant blue streaks of concentrated oxygen crossed the space between the fleets faster than the Zephyrian ships could react. The first torpedo struck the lead Zephyrian cruiser, and the silicon-based hull began dissolving immediately. "Direct hit on enemy cruiser," reported Tactical Officer Lee Hai with satisfaction. "Their hull is breaking apart. They're losing atmosphere and structural integrity." The Zephyrian cruiser tried to retreat, but the oxygen had already eaten through critical systems. The ship broke apart in a shower of crystalline fragments, its crew evacuating in escape pods that fled the oxygen-contaminated debris field. Fleet Commander An Su coordinated the larger battle from her flagship, the HSS Liberator, positioned at the center of the human formation. Her enhanced cognitive abilities allowed her to track the movements of every ship in both fleets, while simultaneously planning attack strategies, coordinating supply lines, and communicating with Earth Command. "All ships, this is Fleet Commander An Su," she broadcast to the human fleet. "Enemy forces are breaking formation. Pursue and destroy any vessel that refuses to surrender. Show them the same mercy they showed our colonies." The human ships moved with deadly precision, their oxygen-enhanced crews operating like a single coordinated organism. Pilot Choi Min guided his fighter through a complex series of maneuvers that would have been impossible for unenhanced humans, dodging Zephyrian energy weapons while delivering precise torpedo strikes. "Commander, I'm reading massive retreats across all Zephyrian positions," reported Intelligence Officer Nam Su from the Liberator's Tactical Center. "Their fleets are abandoning forward bases and pulling back to core systems. They're completely terrified of our oxygen weapons." The tide of war had completely reversed. Zephyrian forces that had been confident in their oxygen bombing strategy now faced an enemy that had weaponized their greatest fear. Every human ship carried enough concentrated oxygen to destroy multiple alien vessels, and the enhanced human crews could deploy these weapons with supernatural accuracy and speed. 3,000 light-years away, the Galactic Council held an emergency session to address the dramatic shift in the human-Zephyrian conflict. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall on Neutral Nexus Station, their various forms creating a bizarre but impressive display of galactic diversity. Council member Han Bo, humanity's representative, stood before the assembly with quiet confidence. His oxygen-enhanced presence commanded attention in a way that surprised many of the alien delegates who had previously dismissed humans as a minor species. "Honored council members," Hanbo began, his voice carrying clearly through the universal translation systems, "you have witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. A species attacked with a weapon designed to exploit what appeared to be our greatest weakness, only to discover that they had given us our greatest strength. The Altarian delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with curiosity. Representative Hanbo, how did your species adapt so quickly to what should have been a devastating attack?" Hanbo smiled, an expression that many alien species found difficult to interpret. "You underestimated our adaptability. Every species in this galaxy has evolved to survive in specific environments. But humans evolved on a world that constantly changed. We learned to adapt or die. The Zephyrians thought oxygen was our weakness because they couldn't imagine any species that thrived on what they considered poison. The Zephyrian delegate, Admiral Vextar, remained silent in his specialized containment suit. His crystalline form flickered with what appeared to be shame and confusion. The mighty Zephyrian Empire, which had conquered dozens of systems, had been defeated by their own weapon turned against them. The Zephyrians made a critical error, Hanbo continued. They assumed that because oxygen could be used as fuel and could cause fires under certain conditions, it must be dangerous to all carbon-based life. They never considered that for humans, oxygen isn't just something we breathe. It's the source of our cellular energy, our strength, our very life force. Fleet Commander Ansu's voice crackled through the communication system from the battle zone. Council members, I'm pleased to report that Zephyrian forces are surrendering across all fronts. Their remaining fleets are requesting safe passage back to their home systems. The war is effectively over. The transformation was complete. Humanity had evolved from victims to victors in a matter of weeks, using their enemy's ultimate weapon as the catalyst for their own enhancement. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of underestimating human adaptability, and the Zephyrian Empire would never again make the mistake of trying to use oxygen as a weapon against the species that had turned breathing into their greatest superpower, Ambassador Lee. So walked into the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council with the confident stride of someone representing a species that had just rewritten the rules of interstellar warfare. Her oxygen-enhanced mind processed the complex political dynamics of the room instantly, identifying allies, potential threats, and neutral parties among the dozens of alien species present. The massive chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from silicon-based species huddled together in their protective suits, while carbon-based delegates whispered among themselves about humanity's incredible transformation. In the center of the room, behind reinforced barriers and breathing through advanced filtration systems, sat the defeated Zephyrian delegation. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Liso began, her enhanced voice carrying clearly through the universal translation systems, we gather today not as conquerors, but as partners in shaping a new era of galactic cooperation. Admiral Vextar, the former Zephyrian fleet commander, shifted uncomfortably in his containment suit. His crystalline form had lost much of its electrical glow, dimmed by defeat and bewilderment. Just months ago, he had commanded the most feared fleet in the galaxy. Now he sat as a representative of a species that had accidentally created their own worst enemy. The war between humans and Zephyrians has taught us all valuable lessons, Liso continued. We propose a new galactic order based on environmental compatibility rather than conquest. Oxygen-free zones will be established for silicon-based life forms, while oxygen-rich territories will become home to carbon-based species and those who can benefit from enhanced atmospheric conditions. The Altarian energy being, Council Chairman Fluxara, pulsed with interested patterns. Ambassador Lee. So, your proposal sounds reasonable, but how do we ensure that humans won't use their newfound abilities to dominate other species? Before Lee So could respond, Dr. Kim Yu materialized as a holographic projection in the center of the assembly hall. As the new director of the Enhanced Human Research Division, she had spent months studying the long-term effects of oxygen enhancement on human development. Her enhanced mind had made discoveries that amazed even her fellow scientists. Chairman Fluxara, our research has revealed something remarkable about human nature, Dr. Kim Yu began. The oxygen enhancement didn't just make us physically stronger and mentally faster. It also enhanced our capacity for empathy and cooperation. Enhanced humans show increased activity in brain regions associated with compassion and problem-solving. She activated a holographic display showing brain scans of oxygen-enhanced humans compared to normal human baselines. We discovered that our species doesn't just survive challenges, we evolve through them. And we do it in ways that make us better partners rather than better conquerors. The Zephyrian scientist, Dr. Kexalara, raised a mechanical appendage. Dr. Kim Yu, this contradicts everything our species believed about evolutionary pressure. We assumed that enhanced capabilities would lead to increased aggression. That's because your species evolved in isolation on silicon-based worlds, Dr. Kim Yu replied gently. Humans evolved on a planet where cooperation was essential for survival. When we become stronger, we naturally seek to use that strength to help others rather than dominate them. Fleet Commander Ansu's voice joined the discussion via long-range communication from the human fleet stationed at Neutral Zone 7. Council members, I can confirm Dr. Kim Yu's findings from a military perspective. Our enhanced forces have been providing disaster relief to 3 different species affected by solar flares, and we've established joint defense agreements with 7 carbon-based civilizations. Our strength has made us protectors, not predators. The crystalline collective representative, a being that looked like living diamond, spoke in harmonic tones. If humans establish oxygen-rich zones, what guarantees do silicon-based species have that we won't be forced out of our traditional territories? Ambassador Lee So smiled, an expression that had taken months for other species to learn to interpret correctly. We're not taking anything from anyone. The oxygen-rich zones will be established in previously uninhabitable systems, dead worlds, asteroid belts, and gas giants that no one currently claims. We'll terraform these environments to create new homes rather than displacing existing civilizations. Engineer Limso, participating via hologram from the Mars Engineering Complex, added technical details. Our enhanced engineering capabilities have allowed us to develop terraforming technology that can transform lifeless worlds into thriving ecosystems. In years rather than centuries, we can create oxygen-rich paradise worlds from scratch. The Zephyrian delegation requested a private conference break. After 30 minutes of discussion in their sealed chamber, Admiral Vexitar returned to address the assembly. The Zephyrian Empire formally requests to join this new galactic order, he announced, his mechanical voice carrying undertones of what seemed like relief. We acknowledge that our attack on humanity was based on fundamental misunderstandings about carbon-based biology. We wish to learn from humans rather than fight them. The signing ceremony took place 3 days later in the same assembly hall. Representatives from 47 different species witnessed the creation of the Galactic Coexistence Accord, a treaty that would reshape interstellar politics for generations to come. As the various alien dignitaries signed the document using everything from energy manipulation to crystalline impression techniques, Dr. Park Mina watched from the human observation deck. The same scientist who had questioned Zephyrian understanding of human biology was now witnessing the birth of a new age of galactic cooperation. It's remarkable, she commented to her colleague, Dr. Yoon Hee. The Zephyrians tried to destroy us with what they thought was poison, and instead they gave us the key to becoming the galaxy's greatest peacekeepers. 6 months after the treaty signing, oxygen-enhanced human colonies had become beacons of prosperity throughout the galaxy. New Terra, humanity's first artificially enhanced world, boasted cities where enhanced humans worked alongside alien visitors in massive biodomes that could accommodate multiple atmospheric requirements. The Zephyrian Empire had transformed from humanity's greatest enemy into one of their closest allies. Joint research stations studied the interactions between silicon-based and carbon-based life forms, leading to breakthrough discoveries in both biology and technology. Ambassador Lee So stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, humanity's newest diplomatic outpost, watching ships from dozens of species dock at the multi-level ports. Enhanced human engineers worked alongside Zephyrian technicians, Altarian energy beings consulted with human scientists, and former enemies had become partners in exploring the galaxy's mysteries. The war that was supposed to end humanity had instead launched them into a golden age of exploration, discovery, and cooperation. The galaxy had learned that humans didn't just adapt to challenges, they transformed challenges into opportunities for growth, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. The end.